Hello guys, there is absolutely no reason for open source to be behind closed source models. But I don't even have that big of an issue if they have biggest models because they can just afford most compute. But the biggest issue I have is they're also leading in science, which there is no reason for them to lead in science. It's just because closed source companies are working hard and open source are not. We just have one or two random PhD students doing some research on some topic and that's it. So just having more compute and money, that's not a problem, because if some company starts to go astray, do bad things, money for the rest of the world is pretty easy to get, compute is pretty easy to get. So we can quickly scale up and counter the bad actor, the big bad company. But if they have a lot more advanced science, that's not so easy to get. So we need to focus on science and we need to make open source science frontier. And this is just a dystopian case if one big bad company, but open source, we want everybody to benefit from open source, even those companies like OpenAI, and they are providing APIs, businesses are building on top of them, they provide these chatbots, they provide products and service. So we want everybody to benefit from them, but not just a few companies, but everybody. And I think open source will also benefit these big companies, even if they are a bit skeptical, a bit afraid, they're going to lose their advantage, whatever. I think open source will benefit them because they are good at building products and they are good at raising money and building compute and buying compute and building these big models. So I think if OpenAI opened completely their GPT-3, GPT-4, then I think OpenAI would still be the biggest leading company. We would just all have a lot more advanced AI, and OpenAI including. But human nature is to be afraid of losing more than be afraid of gaining new things. That's why, for example, we had too much fear of AI spam in 2020, but none of that happened nearly as we were afraid. So I got this idea. So here I'm just putting my courses. So this is course to train DeepSeek V3 from scratch, Llama 4 from scratch. These are open weights, and then we have Qwen 3 also open weights and open source as well. So I just made like 3-4 hour courses on how to build all of these. And GPT-5 is just a video. I need to redo this. It's shorter. Maybe I will redo, maybe not. But my idea is we can get open source AI science match the frontier science by the end of 2026. This is an example. We all know that FP4 training is the next big thing. So which parts of LLM would be put into FP4? And I think every single company, OpenAI, XAI, individually has more people working on it than the rest of the world combined. So I found these two researchers on training LLMs in FP4. I think there could be more, but I'm sure that every company has a lot more knowledge and research on this. And there is absolutely no reason for every company to have more knowledge and research and work harder on this. No reason. Compared to the entire rest of the world, all of the universities, all of the individual smaller companies. I have this repository, build and release your own large language model. So this is a large language model like any other. So like GPT, like Claude, like X, Grok, whatever. So we are also training large language models. We can train them. So it's not like these companies are training them, so they need FP4. We also need FP4. All of us can train these large language models on a few GPUs, on a small amount of compute, but nevertheless, this research is useful for everybody. But open source, everybody is kind of like waiting and saying like somebody else will do it. So I got this video, publish your own LLM, and FP4 would just make this LLM be a lot faster, train a lot faster, a lot better. I also think we can do it faster than these companies because we have more people in open source. We can figure out FP4 and then let them use it, let them scale it. It doesn't matter. We can scale it ourselves if we want to, but I think we can just have frontier science faster, or at least at the same speed as these frontier labs. And by the way, if you work on this open source research, first of all, there is nobody forcing you or telling you what to do, like in a company. When you're getting a job, you need to make sure you get a job you want to do, otherwise you will not enjoy it. You will look how to pretend to work, how not to work too much, because you don't like the job. But that's besides the point. My point is, if you do it voluntarily in open source, then you can choose what you want to do and you will be curious and motivated to do it and not forced to do it. So don't even think that maybe finding a job is your end goal to become good researcher. Maybe finding a job if you need money, or also if you want to be at the frontier of science, but you need to find the right job and that makes you do what you want to do. So don't wait for a job or for a PhD or for something else to teach you AI research. You can and you will, and you have to learn it yourself. Even if you go to PhD, you still need to sit down in your home and learn it yourself, watching YouTube videos, talking to ChatGPT. And as I said, when other people are leading you, they're also gonna impose their will on you a little bit, depending on the situation and depending on if you like doing what you're told to do. So you can go to some YouTube channel or videos and just pick videos that you are interested in watching. There is nobody like forcing you to watch some video or do some code or something. So my point is that you can actually do real AI research alone, even if you don't have the opportunity to get some good PhD or job that you like that would match with what you want to do. And don't wait for something else to teach you AI research. So the way to stay motivated is to follow your curiosity. We don't learn research to get views on YouTube or to get money. We do research because we are interested in seeing what's going to happen. How does attention mechanic, how does neural network learn? Why does it learn? Why does it do that? So we have questions and curiosity, and that's the motivation for doing AI research, okay? Some of my videos, they get 50 views, 40 views, but the reason I stay motivated is because I'm just interested in, I'm curious about this thing, this research. My idea is to have these courses. I can have courses like coding Claude from scratch or coding Grok 4 from scratch or Gemini. And then I would also outline the research questions. For example, in the next course, whatever it is, I can explore this FP4. I can try to understand it myself, try to teach what I can, and then give suggestions or ideas for other research questions that other people that find interesting can do. And this is the thing that's gonna like increase AI progress and training by either 50% or 100%, so even double once. So this is the very obvious next doubling or big increase in AI progress, because it will make AI train 50% faster to 100% faster, somewhere probably in that range. And don't be afraid of failure and seeing yourself not know things. Actually, in my videos and courses, I sometimes say, I don't get this 100%, but I get this 90%, so I'll explain to you the best way I can, so it will help you understand it faster. Back to this project. So we want to compete with closed source companies and win and have open source science as the frontier, better than every company. Or they can just take our open source science and use it so they have same open source science. But we must not be behind. Leave your comments, suggestions below. I know most of people who watch me are beginners, because there is a lot of beginners. There are some people, PhD students, and some professionals at big companies. And we don't want to be impolite or hostile to big companies. We want to work together, and we want to invite them to also open source their projects, because I think big companies also have important role in scaling and buying compute, so they can make profit. We don't care about profit. We just want to make sure that everybody benefits from open science. Imagine if Ilya Sutskever, maybe the best AI researcher after OpenAI, he just made a YouTube channel and some open source company and just started publishing his research. He would single-handedly accelerate AI research by years, by like 10, 20, 30%, because he would teach everybody. And then also I see current chief scientists in OpenAI talk about the future of research. And I think we are all done waiting or begging them to show us their research. Especially that they don't want to show us their research. We will do research for ourselves and make sure everybody, including them, benefit. But frontier best scientific research will and must be open. I know, for example, that OpenAI has a lot better research on synthetic data and models generating synthetic data and self-recursively training themselves. So models, so this is like self-recursive improvement. I think OpenAI, I'm pretty sure OpenAI has a lot more advanced research there than open source, which there is no reason to happen because we have more people, more PhD students, more countries everywhere. So by the end of 2026, I got some ideas how we can reach this. The way I see myself contributing is with these courses. This will train beginners, but also I want to include like most advanced stuff at the frontier, like FP4. For example, I would read papers, implement, and try to give base to start the experiment from the current frontier of open source. So those who find it interesting can fork the GitHub repository and start their own experiments. And I just want to stress out, we are not against profit or closed source companies. We just want to have open source science open to everybody. And a lot of people, they need to have salaries, they raise families. So eventually, if you are a beginner, you learn all of this. You are not only contributing to open source, but you can secure your future. And in the future, when you get into a company, maybe you can talk to your bosses or managers to open source and contribute back to open source as well. One of my next projects could be this Claude from scratch. So I'm just describing what it would take and to build Claude Sonnet from scratch, or Opus, or whatever Claude architecture. And I'm also trying to include the frontier, even though they're probably not training Claude from FP4. I want to include this as the frontier and try to explain it to an extent as much as I can. All of these other things some of them are explained in other courses. So for parts that are explained in other courses, I will just link to them, and then I plan to add more stuff to every part, even if it's partial or even if it's been explained in other courses. For example, attention mechanism, I have a very good explanation of the basics, but maybe I can now in this course link to that and also add some other experiments, other knowledge, and research questions. I want to start also making these research questions for people to pick if they find interesting for all of these topics. I think I'm gonna maybe make some videos as how I'm building these courses as well. Those will be also on my channel because these courses, they take like days to build. So I'm just gonna make some in between, like learning and explaining things as I'm building the course. So you can give your suggestions and ask questions in the comments. That will be it for this video, and see you next time.